Is all about. There's the bell, round number 1.
There goes that jab by Holmes right away.
That classic patented jab, the best left jab in all of boxing history.
He is a mean man in that ring. I'm talking about the Eastern Assassin, Larry Holmes. He is not a guy that I would ever want to. He's just mean, just nasty when he's in there. There he is using the heel of the glove to push Weaver's face back. Steinwinder, the referee, Fred Steinwinder III, warning him.
And every time, but Weaver comes in, Holmes will try to pop him with that left jab. And you talked about the heel. He knows Holmes knows every trick in the books.
One of the nastiest fighters in the world to meet in the ring. Larry Holmes has a point to make here tonight. He's looking to knock Mike Weaver out. He told me decision. No, I'm knocking him out.
And of course, Weaver said a little earlier, he watches the tape of the first fight every day of the week. Only he hopes the ending is not the same with that awesome right uppercut of Larry Holmes.
Mike Weaver in the red trunks, the smaller of the two men. Holmes growing in age, getting bigger. Popping that jab.
Holmes weighing in for...
there goes that up. There was the uppercut. That was the patented Holmes right uppercut.
We know we could expect to see that punch in his arsenal here tonight. He weighed in for tonight's battle, 255 pounds.
He told me he sees Mike Weaver leaning in for that punch. That's why Weaver got caught the first time. It will be carbon copy tonight, according to the Eastern Assassin, Larry Holmes.
And so far in this fight, Weaver not able to mount an attack, not able to get past that left jab of Larry Holmes.
No.
And a right to the midsection by Larry Holmes.
You know, Larry's really got bad intentions on everything here. Look at the look on Larry's face. I mean, that's about as determined as I've seen Larry Holmes in a long, long time. Weaver's got to commit himself. We're ticking down here round number 1. But he's got 10 rounds. He's got to commit himself. He's got to assert himself in order to win this fight.
And Weaver standing up too straight. He's got to get down a little lower and get in under that left jab of Larry Holmes. Not easy to do, but he's not going to do it with his head straight up in the air.
The first time Weaver threw 2 jabs, they both landed.
Weaver talked earlier in the week about trying to out-jab Larry Holmes, using his own jab to keep Larry Holmes' jab at bay. So far, we haven't seen that. All right, Pedro, you know, there's no mistaking that Mike Hercules Weaver is a notoriously slow starter, but he really started in the first gear here tonight.
Well, you know, I saw him when he made his pro debut. He got knocked out in his pro debut up in Northern California by Howard Smith back in 1972. Came back and lost to Smith again. But straight up, he's always been a guy that's been a late bloomer. I mean, as a professional and in his fights.
I'd like to mention, seated at ringside, that great basketball star, formerly with the Philadelphia 76ers, and now the coach of the Valley Dogs, my buddy Chocolate Thunder, Darryl Dawkins. He's here at ringside, keeping an eye on things.
Here comes the uppercut by Holmes. That just barely landed. Had that been on the point of the chin, another good night, sweet prince.
It would have been all over here early in Biloxi. We're live from the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. I'm Mike Mittman at ringside, along with the nationally syndicated boxing host, Pedro Fernandez. Round number 2, Larry Holmes, Mike Weaver, the legends of boxing. It's the rematch.
Holmes still showing that good jab. And in that first round, Holmes showed me more than he showed me in a long time. He showed me the ability to punch in combination, double jabs, uppercuts, right hands, overhand rights. Larry Holmes taking out all the arsenal tonight for Mike Weaver.
And you talk about arsenal, he has got it. He's got every punch that was ever in the book of boxing, and some they never even wrote about.
What he's got right now, he's got Mike Weaver reacting to his feints. And when you get a fight, when you can out-feint a fighter, it's, you know, pretty easy to hit him.
And as you mentioned, when you outfeint a fighter, it's the punch that you won't see coming that's going to get you. Snapping left jabs as Weaver is in the corner, smartly gets out because Larry will pick him apart if he chooses to stay in that corner.
Weaver moving to his right, a big mistake, I think, is going to walk into that right hand. Holmes is just cocking it, just waiting for it. There's already been more punches thrown in this fight than Lennox Lewis and David Tua threw in 12 rounds. Shadow boxing Samoan. That's what he did. He shadow boxed for 12 rounds. Holmes going to the body with the jab.
Well, as we mentioned, he threw no punches, and Lennox Lewis was very grateful for that.
You talked about Mike Weaver being a slow starter. Larry Holmes not letting him get started there. He wants to get started. He's trying to mount an assault, but Holmes with that jab. Holmes, God, he's a ring general tonight.
Every time that Weaver comes in, that left jab is right in his face as Holmes doubles up with that left jab. But look for that right. He's got a cock. And you notice, Pedro, he drops it to his right-hand side where you can't see it. All you're looking at is the jab, and that's when he fires that right hand.
People wonder why Fred Steinwater III warned Holmes there. Those were two kidney punches, almost like in the center of the spine in his back, the back of Mike Weaver.
Weaver trying to get in, but that left jab is just keeping him on the outside. He'll never win this fight on the outside.
Weaver's committing basically violating boxing's 10 commandments to his body square, his shoulder, his left shoulder is not pointed at his target. Look at Holmes. The left target is pointed straight at Mike Weaver.
Mike Weaver told me all week long that he was going to really apply the pressure on Larry Holmes. This was his chance, but Larry, as you mentioned, not allowing him to get inside.
Now we'll count down to the end of round number 2. Of course, we are scheduled for 10. These are legends.
Larry Holmes giving us a course in boxing. This is the advanced course in boxing. He is showing us the jab. Looks as great as when he was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. He's not taking many shots, and you notice he's so smart that he doesn't have to use a lot of movement.
I talked about how dirty a fighter Larry Holmes was earlier. Look at that shot in the kidney. Now watch the second one. Bam! Oh, Fred Steinwater saying, no, 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 Larry.
Well, Mike Weaver kind of leaning in that direction, so Larry saw it. He's going to hit it.
Here comes a jab from Holmes. Yeah, Holmes, he's not bothered by the jabs of Mike Weaver. Mike Weaver's got to put punches together. He's got to score with that right hand and that left hook.
And the great thing about Larry Holmes, he's landing with almost every punch. He could go 100 rounds like this. He's not expending a lot of energy. He's picking his shots, and when he throws, he lands.
You know, people are going to laugh when I say this, but I would think it would be hard for David Tua to get past the jab of Larry Holmes tonight.
Well, if he fought the way he did against Lennox Lewis last week, there's no way he would beat Larry Holmes.
I got a new name for him. They used to call him the throwing Samoan. Now I call him the slowing Samoan. Because he was slow in that fight, coming in 20 pounds heavy.
Larry looking to counterpunch. He's waiting for Mike Weaver to throw, and then he'll come over with that right hand. Weaver landed with one of the few left jabs of his own. That's what Weaver has to do in this fight.
Well, Larry's talking bad to him. I mean, I can't repeat the language going on there in the ring, but Larry's not saying, hi, how are you?
And it wasn't good luck in the fight.
No, it wasn't. Here's what's up. Holmes is now in a counter-punching mode because Weaver won't do nothing. He tried to go to Weaver, tried to get Weaver to react. Weaver wouldn't react, wouldn't punch back.
And the reason Mike Weaver would not throw back, because every time he did, Holmes was coming in with a wicked counter-punch shot. And it's Weaver smartly getting away from the corner. And now you wonder why Larry Holmes is the master of boxing.
Professor Holmes teaching a course here in pugilistic science. Larry Holmes in the white trunks. Tonight, 255. Larry Holmes cocking that right hand just like the old days. Just cocking that right, ready to let it go.
He's saying, come on in and see what I have. And Mike Weaver not enjoying. A good right by Larry Holmes, and Mike Weaver felt that shot. Weaver was going away had he taken the full impact. he probably would have done some funny things either standing up or going down.
And had Holmes taken another step in with another half a jab, that right hand would have been flush.
But as you mentioned, Pedro Fernandez, we've already seen more punches in 3 rounds than we saw the entire 12 rounds of Lennox Lewis and David Tua.
Yeah, well, Larry Holmes has come out here tonight. He has a statement to make. He's a legend. He knows it. He's defending the Legends title. He's going to knock Mike Weaver out. Mike Weaver's got to start doing something here. We're talking about a slow starter. We talked about that early. He hasn't started yet, period.
You just hope he starts before round 10.
Well, if he keeps leaning over like that, he's going to get caught with the right uppercut. Man, it's, you know, Larry Holmes got caught with the right hand. Larry came right back.
As we come to the end of round number 3. Pedro Fernandez, there's one thing that we haven't talked about tonight, and that is the ability of Larry Holmes to take a great punch. He's been hit by some of the best. He's been put down by Ernie Shavers, who got up, came into weight. Let's take a look at that right hand, and as you mentioned,
Holmes, nice counter.
He came right back.
Yeah, the right hand barely grazes the chin of Holmes by Weaver. Watch. And then Holmes scores with a nasty right counter. There it is. Now watch Holmes. Pow! Watch the head of Weaver move. Ooh.
Larry will take your shot. He will write you a receipt and send it right back to you. We saw attorney John Carrolley, the great promoter in the audience, keeping an eye on things here tonight. We mentioned about the Shavers, one of the hardest hitters in all of heavyweight
history. Who hit Larry Holmes the hardest? Reynaldo Snipes.
Well, Pittsburgh's Ronaldo, yes he did. And he made that mistake of looking out at the crowd and admiring his work and telling everybody about it.
Yeah, he had a chance that night. He let it go.
And Larry Holmes coming on strong here in round number 4. Holmes versus Weaver, the rematch.
You know, they were talking about Holmes versus Butterbean here. I mean, that would be a no contest. I mean, yeah, you saw Butterbean earlier tonight. I don't know. I think Larry Holmes smokes him in like one or two rounds.
Well, if they do make that, please make sure they have the emergency medical technicians really close here at ringside. He had trouble with Abdul's left jab. What would happen with Holmes's jab? And now Mike Weaver coming in. He caught Holmes with a right a little earlier. We talked about Weaver being a slow starter. Never underestimate Mike Hercules Weaver.
Yeah, I think all those punches they look good. I don't think they hurt Larry Holmes. You know, the big question is we're in round number 4. We're scheduled for 10. Can these guys go 10? Can Larry Holmes throw punches for 10 rounds? I think he can.
Well, he's so smart. He's picking his shots. He's not using a lot of wasted movement. He's not bouncing around the ring. He's fighting flat-footed, picking his shots, landing those punches. I think he can go 20 rounds using that format. And he's hurting. He's hurting Weaver with every shot.
No question about that.
For all the young heavyweights out there, you want to keep your eye on the professor. He shows you how to work to the body, come upstairs to the head. He is the total fighter.
Man, he's impressed me here tonight. There's no question about that.
He's using that left hand like a paintbrush, and he's painting Mike Weaver like a Picasso.
He's starting to blow a little bit, though. Holmes starting to blow a little bit. Maybe he's getting a little tired, breathing through the mouth.
And Weaver now starting to use that left jab, which he thought he would be a key punch in this fight.
True, it would be a key punch if he was in the L stance. He was pointing his shoulder at Larry Holmes, but since he's squared up there, gets no reach on him.
No reach and taking away a lot of the snap.
And the leverage. Holmes looking to lower the boom here. This is not a decision fight, I don't think. I think Larry's going to go for it here at one point. He wants to stop Mike Weaver.
And a good right to the midsection as Mike Weaver comes back, and you see the great movement, the great defensive skills of Larry Holmes.
Larry Holmes backing away there. might be the first round. You might sort of lean towards Mike Weaver in, but I still think Larry did the majority of the work. What do you think?
Larry, this is another tactic of Larry. He knows how to take a little vacation in there, take a little breather. He'll coast it in part of the rounds, and while he's coasting, he'll use that body movement. He'll use the feints. He'll threaten you with that left jab. Just move the hands a little bit so you won't come in on him. And this way he's able to coast in that round.
Watch Holmes. Holmes is not a headhunter in total. Right now we'll see him work the body if these highlights come up here. See it? Wham! Oh, man, that was a good shot.
A great punch along the rib cage of Mike Weaver. Those body punches hurt.
Here they are fighting inside. Holmes working that body inside again.
As we come to round number 5, the legends of boxing, the rematch, Larry Holmes versus Mike Weaver. And again, that left jab. And that's not just a butterfly. That's not a flicking left jab. That left jab hurts.
Thus far, I've scored every round for the Eastern Assassin, Larry Holmes.
And now he's talking again.
I was talking with Larry Holmes, his son, a couple years ago. So what's it like when your father fights? Because you get really stressed out.
And of course, Larry's son, a great football player, playing tonight back in Easton, Pennsylvania. And along with daughter Candy and the great Holmes family. Lovely wife Diane seated here at ringside. Joe and Kathy and all the gang. Jimmy Blasco, Joe Antonella.
Weaver just scored with a left hook. It was an arm punch, but Holmes didn't even budge. Mike Weaver cannot hurt Larry Holmes.
And of course, who will ever forget the 15th and final round, Holmes versus Kenny Norton, one of the greatest rounds in all of boxing.
That was the fight. That was a round that made Larry Holmes.
And now Mike Weaver, not a happy camper. He cannot figure out how to get inside on Larry Holmes.
No, and he won't go for broke either. He's not doing anything reckless, although I would tell you at some point in this fight he has to, Mike.
But when he does that, he knows that he's going to take a counter shot if he opens up and commits himself, and he's not willing to take those counters.
Weaver is blocking instead of ducking. I think he should be trying to go under the jab and go over the top with the right hand. Weaver's got to score here. Holmes being the professor we talked about earlier, tying him up on the inside.
He's hard to hit, and if you are lucky enough to hit him, he knows how to tie you up. He knows how to smother you.
Now see, Mike Weaver's starting to find a range here a little bit. He had 2 jabs in front of that right hand. That right hand would have meant something.
Well, Mike Weaver in tremendous condition here for this fight. You look at the great upper body of Mike Weaver, left, right by Holmes.
Holmes just missed with that right hand. That was a home run ball.
And Holmes trying to trap him in that corner. He'll jab upstairs, he'll jab downstairs, and then you know the right hand is coming behind. Another great jab by former champion Larry Holmes.
No knockdown.
And that was a push. And Mike Weaver starting to come on in that round, but every time that he opened up, Larry Holmes would come back with a tremendous counter shot. As we look at former champion Mike Weaver.
There's a little push here. You can see it's not a punch. Weaver a little off balance. Good push. Weaver lunging now. He lunged in on that one. Not a good tactic to use against a professor like Larry Holmes.
You lunge and he's going to catch you coming in with that right hand.
You lunge, he makes you pay.
And Larry knows how to make you pay. Well, we certainly hope that all of you watching here tonight worldwide are enjoying this Legends of Heavyweight rematch live from the Mississippi Coast Coliseum, round number 6. And Mike Weaver started it off with a pretty good right hand.
Checking these scorecards here, I've got the fight 50 to 46, 50 to 45 after 5 rounds. They've been all 5 rounds to the Eastern Assassin Larry Holmes. Mike Weaver did come close in the 3rd round, but not enough.
And you notice that if an opponent is lucky enough to land with a punch and he comes rushing in, Larry Holmes will just hold that left jab out. He won't even jab with it.
That's it. Fight's over.
That is it. That is it. The champion, Larry Holmes. A dramatic punch for Mike Weaver. Mike Weaver is totally out on his feet.
I told you, right hand.
That right hand from Larry Holmes, a dramatic knockout here. A dramatic one-punch knockout from the legend Larry Holmes, and Weaver is still out on his feet. Let's take a look at that again. A solid right hand as Mike Weaver was rushing in. And the champion showing why he is the legend up in the ring. A very happy Larry Holmes. Let's take another look at that right hand smack on the button. Larry timed that punch perfectly. Caught former champ Mike Weaver. He is down. He is out. A one-punch knockout. And the Larry Holmes camp very happy. Jake Holmes and everyone, Leo and former champion Saul Mamby, Cliff Ransom, Ron McCarthy. Dr. Espinoza looking on, very, very happy. Feedy Holmes, brother Feedy Holmes. And if Mike Weaver thought that first uppercut from the first fight haunted him for all these years, well, he's got something to haunt him for many more years to come. What a great fight here from the legendary Larry Holmes, winning all of the rounds, and then from out of nowhere, that stunning one-punch right-hand knockout right out of the textbook. And if Larry Holmes would send a message to all of the young supposed heavyweight contenders out there today, that message would probably be, you know, you want to look at the age, go ahead. But when it comes to getting into the ring, this could be what will happen to you. You're going to eat more jabs than you've ever seen, and then watch out for that right hand.